the session from my side. Let me start sharing. Okay. Right. So if you have any questions, you can unmute and you can ask the questions. Otherwise, if you don't have questions as of now, you can mute yourself so that it is not going to be recorded. Disturbance won't be there in the recordings. Okay. If you have questions, unmute and ask me. Okay. If you don't have questions, just mute it yourself. Okay. Right. Right. Yeah. So hi all, this is Shanmukh. Good evening. So today onwards, we are going to discuss about the SQL Server. So what is the SQL Server? Where we are going to use the SQL Server? How to install the SQL Server? What are the real-time issues, or like what are the real-time activities we are going to do as a DBA in the organization? How to get the SQL DBA job? What is the future in the SQL DBA? Like all these things we are going to discuss in today's class, right? So let me know in case if you are still having any issues with my audio. Everyone clear? Is it clear? Right, my audio is clear, right?
Clear, Shanmukh.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. Right. So, right. So let's start with the SQL Server discussion. What is the SQL Server? Where we are going to use the SQL Server? Okay. So let's just start with the very basics. Right. SQL Server is an RDBMS software. I'll tell you what is meant by RDBMS software, or else simply SQL Server is a database software which is going to use for store the data, okay, process the data, and retrieve the data. Okay. So SQL Server is a software, database software. Mainly it's a database software. SQL Server, okay, we can call it as a SQL. SQL means a SQL. So SQL Server is an RDBMS software. RDBMS means Relational Database Management System. Again, I'll explain that term.
Shanmukh,
Yes.
SQL means structured query language, right?
Yes. Structure query language. Yes. Okay. Right. I'll explain everything. Okay. So just basics. So what is the SQL Server? Where we are going to use the SQL Server? Mainly SQL Server is a database software. Okay. Right. So what is the software? What is the database? Where we are going to use the database? So we'll discuss everything. Okay. So for example, imagine nowadays everyone is using Amazon or Flipkart, like lot of online shopping sites, right? You people are experienced the same. Right. So how it works exactly? How an Amazon application will work? How a Flipkart application will work? How your IRCTC application will work? How your net banking will work? How your WhatsApp will work? Okay. So will these we are going to call it as an applications, apps. You're using some of the apps in your mobile phone, right? Smartphone. All these are apps only. Apps means what? Applications. Remember one thing, each application needs database in the backend, right? You can see here, once I just opened amazon.in in the browser, okay, you can see lot of products. So the interface which you are going to use to see the product is an application. Okay, the interface which you are going to see is an application. So application is nothing but it's an interface between the user means those who are using. Okay, it's an interface between the user and the database. Why? Because see, database we cannot access directly, right? We cannot access the directly. In case we want to access the database, we have to run a lot of queries. Say for example, you want to buy this laptop. Okay, so you want to buy this laptop, like HP laptop, you want to buy this laptop. So if you just click on the laptop, you are doing a simple click so that you can see all the information about the laptop. From where you are getting all this information? You are getting this information from a database. In case you want to get the same result in the database, you have to write a query. Can anyone remember the query to pull the database, to pull the laptop details? You cannot write the query, right? So we cannot remember the query. What we can do, simply whatever product you want to buy, you are going to click on that product. Once you just click on that product, automatically you can see the list of the products, and if you choose any of the product here, you can simply, okay, see the information, what is that particular product, what is the cost, okay, when it can be delivered, how to buy it, what are the delivery codes possible. So everything you can see the information about the product. From where we are getting this information? From where we are getting this information? If I click on this product, Techno smartphone, okay, once you click on this product, automatically it will be, okay, redirected to a product page. In the product page, you can see lot of details about the product. Okay, so don't worry, I am going to explain from very basics. Some people are non-technical, some people are technical. In case you are an expert, or in case you have a good knowledge in the database, please be like, please pay, like, please don't mind. Okay, why? Because we have non-technical people also, so from very basics we have to explain the things. Okay, so don't mind. Right, so here you can see the details. Okay, so once you click on, you are simply doing a click. But what exactly happening when you are clicking? Remember guys, whenever every application will run based on a three-tier architecture. Every application will run based on a three-tier architecture. What is this three-tier architecture? This is your browser. You can use Internet Explorer, or you can use Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox. These are all the browsers, right? Once you open the browser, so in case you want to do shopping, in case you want to log into like net banking, you whatever you want to do, you have to open the browser. Once you open the browser, so you will type the address, right? Website address www.somethingamazon.in. If we don't know the website address, simply we'll open Google, we'll type Amazon. Automatically it will pull you the details, and you will click the first link. You are going to redirect it to the Amazon application, right? So every application will work on this three-tier architecture. Okay, whenever you just open amazon.in, right, how come you are getting only Amazon page? If you click on Amazon, you are not getting Flipkart, right? You are getting only Amazon. How you are getting the Amazon, right? So every application will have this three-tier architecture. So the first tier is, tier one is web server. Okay, so each application architecture is same. Every application will have web servers, application servers, and database servers. This is the common for every application. In case you are using WhatsApp in your mobile, right, that is also same. Each application will work on the same concept. Every application will have web server, application server, and database server. Once you just type www.amazon.in, it will send a request to the Amazon web servers. So what these web servers will do usually, say for example, Amazon web servers, in case you want to call Amazon web servers, you have to type Amazon web servers IP address. We cannot remember all applications IP addresses, right? It's not possible to remember the IP addresses. You can remember the name, but it's not. You can easily remember the person name, but you cannot remember his phone number, right? Are you going to call with the phone number or with the person name? You are going to call with the person name, even though you are using phone number to call him, but you are going to call with the person name only, right? We cannot remember the numbers. Okay, right? So what this web server will do, Amazon application will have some IP addresses. This web server will simply convert a domain name into IP address, and IP address into domain name. Whenever you type www.amazon.in, it will convert that name into IP addresses. So the particular Amazon IP addresses will be invoked. Forget about all this stuff. Okay, again, just to get an idea, I'm explaining these things. Once the request went to amazon.in, the web server will send that request to the application server, so that you can see this kind of application, right? You can see this kind of application, right? So once you just click on any product, again, where it is going, if you just click on any product, so you can see the product details. Okay, so from application server to the request is going from application server to the database server. So whenever I'm clicking on this product, why I'm getting the details of the Oppo smartphone? See, if I click on this, I'm getting Oppo smartphone details. If I click on this, I'm getting OnePlus smartphone details. Please, in case if you don't have questions, you can mute. Right. Okay. So for each click, there is a different meaning. If I click here, I'm getting Oppo details. If I click here, I'm getting OnePlus. If I click here, I'm getting MI phone details. So each click will have a different functionality. You are thinking like that is a simple click, but don't think like it's a simple click. Whenever you click here, one query will run. Whenever you click here, another query will run. Where that query will run, application server will send that request to the database server. Okay, so simply database server will run that query, and once the query ran, you will get the output, right? The database server will send that output to the application server. Application server will send that output to the web server, and web server will push that particular details to your browser. So simply you are opening the Amazon application. Okay, here you are opening Amazon application and you are just clicking on one product. Okay, so imagine you are just clicking on one product. You are thinking you are just clicking three clicks, right? So exactly what happened, once you click on the any product, okay, or else once you open the Amazon application, it goes to the web server. One request will goes to the web server. From web server to application server, another request will goes, and from application server to database server, and one more request will go, and on database server a query will run, and once query ran, it will throw you the output, right? That output database server will send from DB server to the particular application server, and application server to the web server, and web server to your browser. So your simple click, okay, in the backend, your simple click doing 7 actions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 actions. Your simple click is doing 7 actions. Okay, so usually applications are front-end applications. Why we are going to call applications as a front-end applications? Because it will act as the interface between the database and the user. So that's why every time we are going to call applications as a front-end applications. Okay, database, you cannot see the database. Users cannot see the database. Simply they will just open the website, they will click on the product, they will choose everything, they will select all the things, they will check it, and if they like the product, they are going to buy the product. Okay, but they don't know the database and all. But internally, everything you are doing from database only. That database will be at the back end. You cannot see the database. That's why database servers are backend servers. Okay, so we are going to call database servers as backend applications, front-end applications. Your front-end applications are like .NET, Java. Okay, these are all front-end applications. Backend applications, backend database softwares are like your SQL Server, your Oracle, DB2, MySQL, NoSQL, MongoDB, Informatica. These are all database softwares. Okay, so you cannot see these database softwares, you can only feel it. Okay, so that's why database softwares are backend softwares or backend applications, and your okay, front-end applications, it will act as an interface between the user and the database. Okay, so this is what the database is like. The details and all will be stored in the database. See here, you are using Samsung smartphone, I am using Oppo smartphone, some other person may use Apple smartphone, some other person may use MI smartphone. Depends upon their financial status, depends upon the features they need, people are going to choose their own smartphones, right? In the same way, in the database softwares also, we have a lot of database softwares. 1 minute, please. Right. Okay. In the same way, in the database softwares also, lot of vendors are there. Lot of vendors are there. Like we have Microsoft SQL Server. SQL Server is a product of Microsoft. SQL Server, that what we are learning now, okay, is a product of Microsoft. Okay, we have a lot of competitors. Oracle is a big competitor for the SQL Server. So in the back end, you may use SQL Server as a database software. You may use Oracle as a database software. You may use DB2 as a database software. You may use MySQL. You may use NoSQL. Whatever softwares are using, that's their own wish. Depends upon their application compatibility and all. Clients are going to choose the database software. If they are using Microsoft SQL Server as a MS SQL DBA, Microsoft SQL Server Database Administrator, as an MS SQL DBA, our work will start. Mainly two important database softwares are there. One is MS SQL DBA and another one is Oracle. Okay, so both like having huge competition. Most of the like in 100 databases in the market, okay, 50 to mostly like 50 to 55% SQL servers will be there. 40% 40 to 45% your Oracle will be there. 5 to 10% other database softwares will be there. MySQL, NoSQL, these kind of softwares. Everyone is DBA only. Remember, you are also a DBA, Oracle also a DBA, Oracle DBA, you are a SQL DBA, Oracle DBA, MySQL DBA, NoSQL DBA. Everyone is DBA only, but it depends on what kind of DBA you are. Are you a MS SQL DBA? So that you are going to work on Microsoft SQL Server. If you are a Oracle DBA, you are going to work on Oracle software. So it depends upon the software, but everyone will call it as a DBA, database administrator. If you are doing the job DBA, database administration. Okay, so this Microsoft SQL Server DBA we are going to discuss for the next 2 to 2.5 months. What is Microsoft SQL Server, how it is going to work, how to install, how to configure, how to give permissions, how to take the backups, how to restore the databases, how to configure HADR options like log shipping, mirroring, replication, Windows clustering, SQL clustering, always on, how to fix the database related issues. So what kind of activities will be there? Remember, okay, one thing, okay, so every 40 minutes this Zoom meeting is going to end automatically. Okay, every 40 minutes this meeting will end automatically. So immediately I'll open the same meeting link. Okay, you just try to join with the same meeting link. Every 40 minutes it will be closed automatically. Immediately I'll open the same meeting link, you just try to join with the same meeting link. Don't forget. Okay, from now 10 minutes time is there. Okay, right. So right, what a DBA will do in the organization if you are selected as a SQL DBA. Okay, what a DBA will do, what kind of activities will be there for a database administrator. Okay, so usually I told you, right? So as a DBA, you are responsible for installing and maintaining the SQL servers. You have to install the SQL server, you have to maintain the SQL server, you have to configure the SQL server. If something happened to the SQL server, you are the responsible person. Okay, so remember guys, don't think like a lot of people will be there to help us. No, hardly in a shift 1 or 2 DBAs will be there. Okay, so application team, we have development also, SQL Server developers. Okay, so what SQL Server developers will do, see here, I'll just explain. In case like you are just clicking on this product, right? I told you, right? You are clicking on this product. Why you are getting the details of this product only? In the back end, developers will write logic for this click. Then only you are getting this product. So developers, okay, huge number of developers will be there, but DBAs will be less number. Okay, hardly for any organization, hardly 10 to 15 DBAs will be there. Hardly, that is the max number of okay count. Mostly like people will be like 6 to 8 DBAs will be there. Most of the companies 6 to 8. The team size will be 6 to 8. Okay, don't think like 20 30 people are there in the organization. Okay, you cannot expect like that. Okay, so hardly 6 to 8 team members will be there. So in a shift 1 to 2 people will be there. Why? Because don't think all 6 members are there in the same shift. Why? Because we are administration side, we have to support the database 24/7. Means we will have 3 shifts: morning shift, that is around 6 to 3, afternoon shift 2 to 11, night shift 10 to 7. So round the clock you have to work. So don't expect like all 6 people will be there with you to work, to help. Nothing. In a shift, hardly 1 or 2 members will be there, or 3 members will be there. The team size is big. Okay, developers will be there, 20 members, 30 members, 100 members, developers also. Why? Because their work is big. Okay, they have to write logics for each and everything. Okay, so whenever you're clicking on this product, why you are getting the details of this product? Why? Because developers will write the logic for the same. Then only you're getting these details. But developers doesn't have permissions to do all these things. Only DBAs will have all the permissions. Okay, right? So that's why we have to be careful while dealing with the maintenance activities. Okay, so what DBA will do here? He is going to install the SQL Server, and he is going to configure the SQL Server, and he is going to maintain the SQL Server also. Whenever if anyone is asking permissions on a database, we have to give the permissions by creating the logins, and we have to give the necessary permissions and all. So don't know, right? Next minute what will happen? Might be your server will be down, might be your database will be corrupted. We don't know, we are not sure about it, we cannot guarantee. Okay, so that's why we are going to regularly take the backups. We have to maintain the backups of the databases. Okay, we have to maintain the backups of all the databases. If something happened, we have to restore the databases to its state. See here, so for example, you are using smartphones. All people are logged in with your email IDs, right? Once you bought any new phone, you are going to log in with your email ID. So you're going to give your email ID in case you change the phone, or else if your phone is broken, or else it was stolen, something happened to your phone. Okay, then again you are going to bought new phone, and you are going to give the same email ID, so that whatever data is there in your old phone, as this data will automatically sync with the email ID. Whenever you register the new phone with the same email ID, you are going to get all the contacts, photos, whatever, what are the stuff you just saved with the email ID, you are going to get all the stuff back with your new phone. When if you just log in with your existing email ID, right? So that is called backup. Don't know what will happen in the next minute. Your phone may not work, your phone might be stolen, or else it may be damaged. We can't expect, right? So for this, in the same way, business data is also very important, very, very, very important. If my database is down, don't know how much loss I'll get, right? Imagine Amazon is not working for 1 minute, or imagine WhatsApp is not working for 1 minute, or imagine your net banking is not working for 5 minutes. How much loss will be there for the customer? He's not going to agree. Okay, so if something happened, we are the responsible persons. We have to maintain the data 24/7. Okay, so that's why, so we cannot expect in the next minute what will happen, like a tsunami kind of natural calamities may come, right? We cannot expect, right? The data centers might be like damaged. Okay, so we cannot expect anything in the next minute, so we have to maintain the backups and all. Okay, so as a DBS, we are going to take the backups, and we are going to restore, we are going to do the restores whenever needed. And of course, refresh tasks will be there. I'll explain what is this refresh tasks and all. So usually developers will write their logic, right? Everyone won't be perfect, they won't get perfect logic in the first attempt, right? So they are going to do some testing and all. They will test their logics. Okay, if we write logic here, how it will work? If we write logic here, how it is going to work? They are going to test it, right? But they cannot, I'm sorry, they cannot write on the, they cannot test on the production servers, right? What is production servers? Okay, we'll have different kinds of environments in the organization: prod and non-prod. Prod means production, non-prod means non-production. Like your testing servers, okay, QA servers, quality servers, stage servers, UAT servers, all non-prod servers. Okay, you can see these are all like for testing purpose we are going to use non-prod. Okay, for testing purpose we are going to use non-prod, right? So production means very important, critical servers. These are critical servers. If something happened to the production servers, your application will be down. Remember, sometimes you may heard like application like WhatsApp is down for 5 minutes across the globe, Twitter is down for 5 minutes across the globe. Why? In case if something happened to the production servers, your application will be down. Okay, so production is very critical, so you cannot allow developers or users to test their logic on the production servers. We won't give chance, but they have to test their logic. So what we have to do, we have to give the real-time data to them. How to give the real-time data? We have to simply take the production database backup, and we have to restore it on the non-prod environments, so that they will get the real-time data, so that they can test their logics for the better output. Okay, this is how, okay, prod non-prod will work. So that task, taking the backup of production databases and restoring in the non-prod environment, is called database refresh task. These tasks we are going to perform every week. Might be depends upon the organization. Some people will go for weekends, some people will go for daily, some people will go for every month, some people will go for every quarter, some people will go for every 2 weeks, like bi-weekly. Okay, so that means simply database refresh means what? You have to take the backup of production databases and you have to restore it in the non-prod environment. So as a DBA, we are the responsible persons for doing the refresh tasks. In case if backup failures, if restore failures, if in something happened with the databases, we have to take care of it. Creating jobs, scheduling jobs, maintaining jobs, and also what is this job? So usually imagine we will have hundreds of servers, we will have thousands of databases. I'll explain what is the server, what is the database, what is the difference between server and the database. Okay, usually in the server you will have multiple databases. Okay, usually under server you will have multiple databases, right? So it's not possible to take the backups manually on each database, very difficult task. Okay, so in case if only one person or two persons are there in the shift, he cannot take the backups of, why? Because you have to take the backups regularly, right? The meeting is going to close now. It is showing less than 1 minute. Okay, I am going to close the meeting now. Okay, so again I'll reopen the meeting. I'm going to use the same meeting link. Just click on the same meeting link to join. Okay, again, okay, I'm going to use the same meeting link. Just please use the same meeting link to join. Let me close and let me reopen. Okay,